Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and troll dolls, the sensation is back, only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, and both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal, for a limited time, only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi with Corey Clark, senior writer for WarChant.com. Check out warchant.com, why don't you? Use the promo code WARCHANT30 if you're not already a member. That'll get you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Students, email us from your student email address, your Florida State student email address. If you're a UCF student, what are you doing? Email support at warchant.com. We'll get you that promo code, 12 months of access for $12. Corey, lots of good feedback on Twitter for the new logo, courtesy of our friends at Zaxby's. We also get a shout out from Darth Knoll. Says, nothing better than a lunch break listening to Wake Up War Chant, having a couple of hashtag tongue torch hot wings from Zaxby's. Thanks for the idea, Aslan and Corey.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, look at that. Got some ranch in there, too. He's got a whole photo of the box. Got the crinkle fries, the Texas toast. I'm glad you could enjoy that, Darth Knoll. Also, we got a shout-out from a Romeo McDaniel saying, Aslan, Corey, thanks for the shout-out yesterday on Wake Up War Chant. This is You Know Too Much. Mac Deasy 2685. That's what he goes by on the internet, Corey.
Macadizzi?
Mac Deasy. Mac Deasy 2685.
Not just regular Mac Deasy. You got to throw your address in there.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
He's got to throw his pin for his...
Oh, that could be the last four of his Social Security.
Or that. Thanks, Romeo. Appreciate that, man. He was the one that, obviously, folks, if you're just joining in, maybe you missed yesterday's episode, which I wonder how many of the folks who listen to our show are diehard dailies and folks who listen just, after games or things like that. But he offered the suggestion of possibly... why not move Brendan Gant to outside linebacker with all these injuries piling up? He kind of took a beating on the tribal council, but then on Tuesday when we were at practice, sure enough, Mr. Brendan Gant was out there working with the outside linebackers. On Wednesday, we spoke to the defense, Harlan Barnett, several players, Corey Durden, Marvin Wilson, Cyrus Fagan, Janaris Robinson. Things looking good, trending well for the defense. All about simplicity, man. Lethal simplicity. That's what it was said back in December of 2017. Still holds true to this day, apparently, with the defense core. They've just made things simpler. That's what's allowed these guys just to focus on one gap and attack it. Took 8 quarters, but hey, why not?
Well, and you remember when we had Travis Johnson on in August, and he said it was there's a learning curve. It's a transition. It's not as simple as we would think for a defensive lineman to go from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So, maybe those guys, not maybe, I think they were struggling a little bit with it too. And now I think those guys, they're your best players. And I think they're, especially 21 and 16 are your two best players on defense. And I think they're more comfortable in it now too, right? I don't think it's so much as simple. Maybe they've simplified it for those guys, but I think they also know what they're doing a little more than they did in week 1 and week 2.
Yeah, I mean, when they know what they got to do and they attack their gaps, as he's talking about, this could be a good defense. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy. I don't know if they're going to look good in Clemson, South Carolina in 2 weeks, but I think this has a chance to actually end up being a pretty good defense, believe it or not, even with the injuries mounting.
I think good might be strong, but it can be adequate. And I think your issue is going to be you got to stay healthy up front. You can't suffer any more injuries. And also, what are Cooper, Marvin, and Durden, and Janaris to an extent, what are they going to look like at the end of the year? Because they are playing a ton of plays. That's a lot of plays for 300-pound dudes. And you wonder what they're going to be like in November. Because it's just wear and tear. Your body, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to do it. So that's my biggest concern is, will they wear down at all? Even if they do stay healthy, will those guys wear down at all because they're on the field so much? And you got to have them on the field because you got to win games. You only got 8 more games with Marvin Wilson, maybe. So you want. I hate to sound callous, but you need to use them as much as you can because this is your last shot with them. But is that going to make him a little less, dominant in the middle and late of November when he's played 10 straight games of 70 snaps?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm a little overconfident just because it's NC State this weekend, and I feel like they're going to look really good, and we're going to go into a bye week. Lots of good feelings, lots of people. Maybe could we do it? Could we maybe sneak up on Clemson? And I don't know. I don't feel that. I'm not that scared of Syracuse anymore. Wake Forest still seems a little bit of a battle, but then again, it's Florida State has better athletes than them, and if they know what they're doing and they're being put in the right positions. Surely they can go up into Winston-Salem and take down the Demon Deacons. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just too focused on NC State, and I feel like everybody's going to be NC State. But I think this is like the last easy game before Alabama State. Really, everything else will probably be nip and tuck, as we said, right? We're still thinking that, I guess, fourth quarter games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think they've got. There's one game they should win comfortably, and one game they will lose comfortably. The other 6, you feel like, if they play well. They're definitely in the game in the fourth quarter. It's going to come down to those final 5 minutes, typically. I mean, it has all 4 of their games have come down to the final 5 minutes.
Yeah. Corey, let me just say something crazy before we get on the ponies and do the Renegade Express, brought to you by our friends at First Commerce Financial. What if they just get into a slugfest, like a big play bonanza versus Clemson? I mean, I don't know how many sustained drives they'll do, but that's really not in the DNA of Kendall. I don't know how many, they're just going to go tempo and overwhelm Clemson, but I don't know. Maybe they can just sneak and get some of these big plays and just get Clemson on their heels for at least maybe a half, 2.5 quarters, and then, die with some honor.
Hey, let's hope, buddy. Let's hope. Maybe it'll be like the game up there a couple years ago. Florida State had no business being in that game. A couple breaks, a trick play, a couple turnovers, and all of a sudden you're down by 3 points at midfield. First down and 10 in the final, 8 minutes of the game. So, maybe something similar will happen. I'm not holding my breath, but maybe something similar will happen.
Gotcha. All right. With that said, let's begin the Renegade Express. All of your questions are valued members, clients, customers on warchant.com on the Tribal Council. It's brought to you by the folks at First Commerce Financial. Corey, with interest rates nearing historic low levels once again, now is the perfect time to review your current mortgage, but you're doing fine on that. First Commerce Financial will make this easy for you folks. You can text them a picture of your current statement. They will help determine if it makes sense to lower your rate, lower your term, or consolidate debt. If you do not need to do anything, they'll help you validate that you're in a great spot. First Commerce Financial is a pure mortgage broker who provides transparent mortgage solutions to help you grow your overall net worth. No matter what part of Florida you call home, call 248-207-2404, and Kirk and his team will provide 5-star level service if you're purchasing or refinancing your home. Mention you heard them on WarChant. You can also visit them on the web at firstcommercefinancial.com. So that's good. That's good. Maybe I'll buy a house one of these days, hopefully. Mr. Clutch _1992 starts us off, Corey, saying, wake up! So close! The losses to State and Virginia. Apparently we're calling Boise State just State these days.
Right.
So close.
You don't want to confuse them with Boise University.
Right.
Yeah.
So close. Makes it real close to being 4-0, but the way this team is performing is 110% different than last year. They're in close games instead of being blown out every time. Can't believe that's the standard at FSU. I love the post-game interviews that you guys post on WarChant. A suggestion, if I may, could y'all post the Tuesday and Wednesday interview audio at the end of the day's show? Probably not. You're asking me to do more work. Question, would you rather them demote Harlan to secondary coach or try to get T-Buck again? This, obviously, assuming Jim Leavitt gets the defensive coordinator job.
I mean, I'm more about that T-Buck life.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Yeah.
And also, I just think, it seems like it's working okay now. Right now, in this precise moment, it seems like Barnett and Leavitt are getting along fine. But when you get demoted, I don't know, I feel like that could be it could be hard for Harlan to just get demoted to secondary coach, or maybe he becomes co-defensive coordinator with Levitt. That's a possibility. I think the key is, will Florida State want to eat $1 million that they would still owe Harlan Barnett to bring in Terrell Buckley? That's what they'd have to, I guess, ask themselves. I would think you just make a clean break, would be my thought. But what if the defense just turns out to be, like we talked about, pretty decent over the rest of the year? That I don't know. I mean, I assume you're still making that change, or at least I don't know that you're firing Barnett, I guess I should say. So maybe he becomes co-defensive coordinator, something like that. Something that's more palatable and maybe not as embarrassing as just getting fired or demoted.
Yeah, got to save some money because you're going to probably have to throw a bunch at Kendall and Randy to keep them around. So that's an economic sort of play. Keep Harlan kind of co-coordinator, but only kind of in name. Mr. Clutch also asks, this team has the potential to win every game except Clemson this year on the remaining schedule, in his opinion. So what's the odds of them living up to the FSU hype, whatever that means? It's mind-blowing how they keep blowing these double-digit leads. Love the show. Keep it up.
I mean, they got 8 games left. I expect them to go 4-4.
Okay.
Now, I feel like that'd be fair, right? They're gonna win some close games. I feel like they're gonna lose some close games. I don't think maybe you hope that they just catch fire one game and blow a team out.
Which
just everything comes together. But I don't expect that to happen too often.
Benzo's on Saturday. Corey Aslan, wake up! I'm glad we avoided another collapse and pulled off the win. The defense looks much improved, and thank goodness for Cam Akers. Hard to tell against Louisville, but unfortunately, I still see a 7-win team this season. I have a question for each of you. Corey, you've been covering this team for a long time. Is this one of the most down years for the conference as a whole? Like, who's the third best team in the ACC? Clemson 1, Virginia 2, Pitt? I guess that would be mine. What say you?
I mean, I think Wake might be as good as Virginia. Yes, it is. Maybe the year that Wake won it back in 2006, because neither Clemson nor Florida State were worth anything that year. At least now you got one of the big boys that's really good. But yes, I would say this is it's the worst that I can remember. And Florida State has to take some self-ownership there. They need to be good for this conference. They just need to. They need to be good for themselves. But this conference is obviously much better when Florida State is good. Florida State can't be a middling ACC program, especially when it's not a great ACC conference right now. So, I would say you look at Louisville, NC State, Florida State, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. It's just kind of a lot of Boston College, Syracuse. Yeah. It's Clemson and 11 others. The other 11 can all beat each other, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Is it 13? Aren't there 14
Is it 13?
teams?
Whatever. Yeah. Is it 13? How many? Yeah.
Isn't 14
what is it?
Teams? Then we have
is it 14?
Didn't we have to do 14 so that we could get a conference championship or whatever?
Maybe, or I thought they went to 12 to get a conference. Look that up. It's probably 14 because of the additions. It's hard to keep track, folks. But anyway, I would say obviously Clemson's the best, but then the rest of the group, Georgia Tech is the worst. And then in the middle, I think the next 12 or 10 can all beat each other, depending on how well they play. It's just a bunch of mediocrity right now. Probably the most mediocre that I can remember it. I guess that's the long answer to a pretty simple question.
Gotcha. 15
Did you look it up?
15 member institutions, if you count Notre Dame.
Which we don't. So 14.
Yeah. Suck it. He also asked me if I'll bring back Tinder Tuesdays. It's never really, it's just, yeah. If I got something funny to share, I'll share. Otherwise, I really don't. But he says he remembers the Tinder scene in Tallahassee being awesome. He felt like Pat Mahomes on Third and Manageable. Your boy had options and Blue Cross. So, yeah, we'll see.
What about, it doesn't have to be funny. What if it's like poignant or sweet or romantic?
Yeah, if I go on a date of note, I'll let you know. But as of right now, I don't. Because I wake up at 7 in the morning, and then I work. And then
when was your last one?
Probably the girl that I had the wine with, and I didn't have my wallet on me, and I ran out to grab my wallet. That was the last, so it was like 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks
That was
ago.
your last Tinder date?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you got to get back on the horse.
No, man. I gotta delete it and then re-download it. I think I've been on it for so long that I'm just at the bottom of everything.
And you never tried Match?
I did when I was in Mississippi, and it didn't work out.
You might want to look at it again. Give it a go.
Yeah, okay. All right. J.I.I. Knowles, wake up! Man, everybody's doing the wake up. I got to save my voice here. Jeremy from Miami, hometown of James Colsey, Andre Wadsworth, Samari Rowland, of course, the great Irish O'Fell.
Right.
At what point do you think Willie will give up the morning practice? Besides the fact Corey does not like waking up early, the team has shown it has not responded well to them, in my opinion. Anyhow, I'll be making the trip up to Tallahassee this weekend. I definitely hope to see you guys at some fine Tallahassee establishment during the weekend. Noel Nation, as always, don't forget to rate, review, Wake Up War Chant with a 5-star rating, and, of course, support your local Zaxby's. He says this. I don't have it. It's great. We love you. We love you, Jeremy.
That's well done.
No, he's not changing the morning practice. It's never going away.
I mean, what if Kendall gets a job offer?
Oh gosh, I hope so.
In December.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
And he says, "Look, Willie, I can't do the morning anymore, man.
Right.
I just can't. I will stay. You're gonna have to bump me. Me and Randy will stay, but we're practicing at 4:00.
Yeah, I've got.
You think Willie changes it?
Yeah. Yeah, he can't go into David Coburn's office and be like, "Yeah, we lost Kendall." Like, what do you mean we lost Kendall? We just gave you $1.6 million to keep him. Well, I told him I'm not going to change the practices from 8 in the morning.
And then Coburn's like, "Get out."
Yeah, off the top rope.
Out.
Yeah.
I don't want to see your face.
Yeah.
Okay, get Kendall in here. We'll practice at midnight. I would. I think that's our best bet, man, is to buddy up with Kendall one day. I don't think he likes either one of us. He doesn't know us, but I don't think he doesn't seem real fond of our media sessions. But if we buddy up or see him and get him a beer and say, "Look, man, here's our plan. We know you don't like morning practices. They're ridiculous. Your dad didn't have morning practices. So, and y'all scored a lot of points and won a lot of games. Did some other stuff too I'm not going to bring up, but whatever. Y'all scored a lot of points and won a lot of games. Let's get that ball rolling again, man. You go to him and tell him you want 4:00 practices." I feel like Kendall could do us a solid.
Yeah.
And he might think it's good for the players too.
Yeah. All right. Let's make it happen. We'll see what we can do. Maxwell Gibbs says, "Wake up, duck if you buck." Aslan Corey, after the Louisville game, I'm in the half that believes it was a nice win. But it's still a big issue that, again, this team gets out to a 3-possession lead and then blows it. This week, though, they didn't panic, and they made adjustments. This is what happens when you have a quarterback who's more mature than the other one who's too emotional. Ouch. That being said, Hornibrook looks better in this offense. He makes reads that James would never make. He showed a willingness to move around in the pocket, and most importantly, he did not get down and try to make up the deficit in one play. I know Blackman is a captain and the team loves him, but I think the team will enjoy winning more, and with Hornibrook, this will be a 8-4, 9-3 team. With James, it's 7-5. I'll end it with two things. First, I still do have my doubts Willie is the right coach for the job. And second, on Friday, I turned 27. What were both of you thinking when you turned 27? There's a lot of things that I've accomplished that I thought I would, but also some that I thought would be further down the line. Hopefully I get a nice gift on Saturday, which will be a 45-21 win by the Noles. I think we'll get something like that. Yeah, that'll happen. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Hornibrook looked good. I get it. It's a fair point. He is more calm and James runs a little bit hot. He's very emotionally driven. Maybe not the best position to play when you're that up and down with things. Still have faith in the kid. Still think he'll be a good part of this program. Not ready to. I don't know how many games will be swayed by Alex moving forward. There's a lot of people that think Boise State. James keeps throwing the ball down the field, forcing the issue. If Alex is there, maybe he doesn't, and they beat Boise, and then who knows? Maybe we're in the thick of the playoff hunt right now. But what happened when you were 27, Corey? You want me to start first since it was a little bit more recently for me, I guess?
Hey, man. Hey, don't take shots. Let's see. I just started a new job up here in Gwinnett County, Georgia, and I was kind of wondering where my career was going. I'd been in preps for that would be my 5th year, I guess, and I'd been in Thomasville doing preps. Then I was Valdosta as a sports editor, and then I moved up to the Gwinnett Daily Post, and I was covering preps. And I really like covering preps. I think it's the Lord's work. It's really good stuff to do. It's a great way to learn the job, but also it means something to people. And I really did enjoy it. I didn't look down on it, but at that moment, I think I was like, man, am I ever going to move up? This was back when newspapers were still a thing. Right. And I was like, I wonder if I'm ever going to get to a bigger paper. And if I'm going to get to a big metro, can I get to the AJC or can I get to but at that time, the Tallahassee Democrat. And it took me 5 years, but yeah, I ended up getting to the Democrat. But I was kind of more career oriented and just wondering, like, am I just going to be a prep writer for the rest of my life, or am I going to move on to college or Major League Baseball or get out of the business altogether? And then here I am with you fine people, 17 years later, preaching the good word of Florida State football.
Yeah. 27, so that was 2009. I was working a horrible job as a freight broker, which basically people just call you, Corey, and they need to move large items and, mass quantities of stuff. And then I call truck drivers and see if they can go pick it up and then move it across the country. And you're dealing with unreliable delivery times, unreliable handling. Things get broken and all sorts of terrible things. But this is the time where I was kind of in transition. I wanted to get into television, and I'd been trying for like a good year to get on TV. In 2009, I think actually probably around this time, I got my second job interview in Midland, Odessa, Texas, and I absolutely crushed the interview. I think I've said this story before. Anyways, I remember the guy, the sports director, who's the number one, I was going to be the weekend guy, was basically running me through everything that I was going to have to do. And I was like, hey, man, don't jinx it. And he's like, dude, you're going to get the job. I'm like, don't jinx it, bro. He's like, listen, unless Jim Nance walks through that door, you're not getting this job. And Jim Nance didn't walk through that door. A girl did. She got the job. Then I got really down and out about that. But then towards the end of the year, I did one last hurrah and sent out my tape. And that's when Montana called me. And then everything kind of picked off from there. But yeah, 27.
Look where you are 10 years later. A mere 10 years later, look where you are.
Yeah, still no children, no wife. But good for you, Maxwell. Glad everything's working out for you in the big city.
Yeah, man.
Stoked for you. Stoked. Knowles North, second Renegade Express post in 3 weeks, thus tripling my contributions over my 14-year membership. Following Manchester, New Hampshire, famous folks, I'll skip Tallahassee, going back to high school days in Brooksville, Florida, with Jerome Brown and Bronson Arroyo. My effort at humor and Chris D'Elia, was that the guy? I forgot the comedian. D'Elia.
Yeah.
It failed due to poor communication from me. You needed to go deeper into the recording to find it doesn't even matter, but don't waste any more efforts. My wife and kids think I'm a dork. My first question to the esteemed hosts: what does matter? Marvin, Cam, Jim Levitt, Kendall Browse. What matters, Corey?
What matters? That's a pretty broad question. Yeah, that's a deep one. I think Marvin and Cam matter. I think as hard as they're playing and as good as they are, I think that matters. I think that's something that can infect the program in a good way. When you see those guys playing that hard and playing that well, they don't have a lot of those guys on their roster, Marvin and Cam's ability, but when you see those guys playing that hard on Saturdays, I do think that that's something that can be built on. That's what matters.
I don't think anything matters. I'm not a nihilist. This season was going to be what it was. We went into it, I think on the high end, we thought 8-4. Maybe you go to a bowl and then that's 9-4. I don't think you nor I nor Gene nor Ira, I don't think anybody thought 10 wins. So, I mean, here we are. They're going to probably be 3-2 going into the Clemson game, which is not a worst case, but, might have been middle of the road, a little bit less than ideal for most of the fans. So here we are. We're living it. I mean, we're living what we thought this team was going to be. What has really changed? Jim Levitt has been brought into the fold, which I think really affects the long-term trajectory of things. But ultimately this season, beat Miami, just get one of these wins or beat Florida. Try to beat both. That'd be great. But at this point this season, I don't really think it's going to affect Taggart's job status again. Like I said, I think 2021 is probably, it's just going to be, brass tack time for him. So, yeah, this season is just, growth, steps, strides, whatever you want to call it. Beat Miami or Florida. Give this fan base either is, so many are in South Florida and have to deal with Miami fans, give them peace of mind to be able to talk some smack for a year, or enrich the lives of everybody in this state and this country by beating the Gators, because nobody likes them. They're the worst. Figure it out, everybody.
Just know no matter what happens, we all die alone.
Touche. FSU _JT. Aslan Corey, wake up! go Noles. Last week was not a game to celebrate like 2013 or anything, but boy, it felt good to see this team snatch a win from the jaws of defeat, unlike the same script we have seen the past few weeks. I hope this gives the team confidence and truly is the beginning of a turnaround. Nice to have a glimmer of hope around here again, even if so slight. Also hope more butts in the seats this weekend versus NC State because Doak's attendance looked pathetic last weekend. P.S. To answer your question from 2 weeks ago, I attended every home game in 1990 while my mother was pregnant with me. I then returned to games at 2 years old, did not miss a home game until moving out of the state in 2008, and have missed only 2 Florida games since I started attending games at the age of 2. Even now, I get back as often as I can. Win or lose, I'm Knoll-blooded. That will never change. Hopes to see us, meets us for the homecoming game. Booked my ticket home for the game. We'll be staying through the butt kicking that we will give to Scum, with emphasis on the UM. Is Miami homecoming?
Miami the homecoming? I didn't know that.
That's crazy. Really? It's bold.
Look that up, Aslan. Is Miami the homecoming game?
I just like look that up, like I'm Tony Reale, like 15 years ago.
Check that out, Stat boy.
Look it
Check
up.
that out. See if that's true. I want to know what the 2 Florida games that you missed. What happened? What were the circumstances surrounding it? Did Florida State win? And if they did win, did you think about never going back? Like I want to know the circumstances surrounding the missed Florida games.
I just pulled up the schedule on Seminoles.com, and there's nothing that says homecoming in front of that game, nor Alabama State, which is what I thought would probably be the homecoming game.
I would have thought it'd be Syracuse. They usually want it to be a conference game.
Yeah, that's not either. I can't believe you're making me do this, Jake. Your mother would be proud. Let's see what the homecoming. October 24th to 25th are the festivities that are going on. And I'll cross-reference that with the schedule. Yeah, that's Syracuse, champ. Yeah. Miami's November 2nd. Syracuse is the 26th of October.
So he's probably not coming back for homecoming. He's coming back for the Miami game.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah, I don't feel like he'll be alone there.
Yeah. We got that cleared up.
Yeah.
Dane_Owen. Chances De'Aaron King is a Seminole next year.
I would say 25%. They did come out and say something. There was another story on Wednesday about, and you don't know if it's all just, just a facade. But Holgerson's like, yeah, I told him that in this offense, in the second year, the quarterback really makes a big jump. Our defense is really struggling, so we have a chance in 2020 to be really good, and he'll know the offense even better, and that's when we can really shine. And I'm like, is this kid really going to redshirt to stay in the same place? I get it. I don't get it. It's bizarre, but I know it. I'm granting that it could happen. That would just be really surprising. And man, what a weird byproduct of this rule that creates. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody on Florida State's team that would just do it. Like Dante Lucas. Like, look, this didn't work. We got Mike Arnold. He's a senior, I think. Let him finish out, and then I want to have 3 years after this one, or whatever the case may be. It's odd. It's just really odd to do this. But I guess Blackman did it last year, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how voluntary, involuntary that was.
No, it wasn't. He was starting and then just stopped playing.
Yeah.
This is really weird.
It is.
But I'd say 25%, right?
Yeah. I'll co-sign.
I think some of this is a smokescreen because you don't want to tell all your Houston fans and the players. Although, how is that locker room going to be? Like, you've just given up on the season. You got 8 games left to play. And what is he even in the locker room? Is he going to be at games?
Right.
That's just weird, man. It's just weird.
I mean, why do they hire? They got rid of Major Applewhite after 2 seasons, and then hired Dana Holgerson. Really?
Yeah. Hey, man, I don't know. I don't know.
Tommy Hawk Chop, wake up! Nice not to hear about how tired the defense was this week. Seems like the offensive line had a right to complain after running all those sprints for all those first downs. It's their job to score a touchdown within 3 plays and get off the field. I have no sympathy.
Fair.
That's cold. Needed that win to have any chance of a winning season, if for no other reason than confidence that they could do it. Would be happy with 8 wins, but expect 6. Browse, Clements, geniuses. Also think Dugans has done a great job, especially with all that happened in his personal life. So what will it take to see a defensive jump next year like we saw this year with the offense?
I don't know, man.
Jim Leavitt, man. Jim Leavitt.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly, I mean, it might be coincidental, but his certainly has looked like a real defense the last 2 weeks. It's hard to, I mean, that Boise State game, really the whole game, and then Louisiana Monroe, the second half, were just flat out embarrassments.
Yep.
The way that defense looked. Didn't compete, wasn't in the right spot, but looked soft, didn't seem prepared, didn't seem like it had been coached. And these last 2 weeks, they've had real game plans. Now, we made fun of the Virginia one in the second half of just let's stand back and let them catch 7-yard passes all game. But even that, they scored 31 points, and they had to score 21 in the fourth quarter. You held them to 10 points over 3 quarters, which I didn't know you could do that against air. I thought the way the Florida State defense was playing, if they faced air would find a way to score a couple of touchdowns. So them taking those steps are a good sign. So I guess you just think that they're going to be better coached if Leavitt's on board. It's just not great that they're going to lose Marvin Wilson.
Yeah, I was about to say I've gone this about 30 minutes of the show, and I've been pretty positive and upbeat. But, yeah, you do wonder about Marvin is gone. Corey Durden's draft eligible. I mean, he could potentially – I mean, I don't know what he's thinking, but he's a guy that could leave for whatever reason he wants to test those
is Durden
waters.
He's a redshirt sophomore?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
So
he leads the country in pressures. Yeah. All right. You know who the last Florida State person to do that was? You got to go all the way back to 2018.
Yeah.
And the great Brian Burns, and look at him paying off in the NFL. Yeah, man. I think Durden,
actually,
the way
no,
he's playing.
I lied. He's a true sophomore. I apologize. He'll be here.
Oh.
Never mind. Everything's going to be all right. Yeah, he'll be back. Robert Cooper's back. I don't know who your third. Maybe Dennis Briggs kind of grows into that. Physically develops, blooms, whatever you want to call it. What about Janaris? Is Janaris still going to be around? He's been around forever. He's draft eligible. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Jim Leavitt will figure it out. He'll figure it out.
Janaris is AARP eligible.
Yeah.
Hello, heyo.
Yeah. Again,
Got the jokes.
Jim Leavitt, full-time defensive coordinator next year. You win 8 games. You win 9 games. And then again, 2021. Sorry to keep saying it. I know it's annoying. I really feel that way. Notepad.
What do you feel that way? That they're going to be good in 2021?
Well, no, just that is you're not getting rid of Willie Taggart before then. I think that the whole Jim Leavitt hire.
Yeah, but what again, I know you keep saying that, but you're harping on it as if you're going to be upset if they win 7 games this year and then 9 games next year, and you're going to be one of those fans that's like, well, I guess we can't get rid of Willie Taggart now. Maybe Willie Taggart's about to win 12 games. Right? Like, that's a possibility. I feel like that's what you should be rooting for. Because it seems like if you lament 2021, then that means you'd rather Florida State not be good next year and they have to fire them.
No,
wouldn't it be better if they win 9 or 10 games?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is we're not going to really know. Like, everything, the Emperor's going to have, like, no clothes in 2021. There's not going to be any, he still has Jimbo players. It's going to be his roster. He's going to have his quarterback. He's going to have his offensive coordinator. We would think, actually, I don't know. There's no way Kendall Browse is here in 2021. He has Leavitt, although who knows? I mean, Leavitt really hasn't hung around anywhere that long. I just think 2021 will be like the real true litmus test kind of what you have with him. Long term, sort of like, does he have the chops?
I also think, I do think that's true, absolutely. Next year, I mean, I feel like we both think that they're good enough this year that the wheels aren't going to come off, and that he's definitely going to be on board for 2020. Yes. I do think that obviously Briles won't be here forever. Leavitt probably won't be here forever. But we also have to remember that my man, he'll have more time to make those hires. Like, he'll know hopefully with months in advance. Like, he can't go into the 2020 season thinking that Kendall Briles is going to be there in 2021. So he'll have, you hope, a better idea than Walt Bell. And nothing against Walt Bell, but Willie didn't know Walt Bell. And he had to hire somebody on the fly. But now he has more time to kind of really vet, get a lot of references. He has a lot of friends in the coaching community, and figure out those hires, because it sure looks like he missed pretty badly on both of them, on both of his coordinator hires. But he's also thrown into a crazy situation, and he doesn't get to hire the Mike Elkos of the world. So he had to go make do in short time with not a ton of money to offer. And I know $950, it's relative. That's a lot of money. But he's not going to get the Mike Elkos of the world or the guy at Michigan. He can't get those guys. Not that you'd want the dude at Michigan right now. So I do think now in the next year and a half, he's probably got an idea of who he'd replace Kendall Briles with. And you would think it'd be a good one, a good person, right? I think we got to give him the benefit of the doubt there that, man, those were bad hires, but it was a really, that stupid early signing period really screwed who he could hire, or just the whole time frame of putting together a staff.
Well, yeah. I mean, you do worry
I wanted to bring Levitt, right? He wanted to bring Levitt to FSU, and he couldn't get him.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. So, like, what is his network? Because Levitt was the guy you wanted, and then now you'll have him finally. And if he leaves, then, like, who's, plan C pretty much, because you went to Barnett in 17 when this thing started. And then he, went to –
You go get that other Michigan State defensive coordinator. You try again. Take two.
Tressel. Yeah, you get Tressel's son. You get the other code coordinator here.
Yeah.
So. Notepad Rick. So none of us should be holding his breath, waiting on a public apology from Tamorian the taunter Terry for his embarrassing display on what turned out to be the deciding touchdown. I know in his Monday presser, Taggart made mention of the talk he had with Terry immediately after he came to the sideline, but as he showed out in public, I'd sure like a similar apology for that behavior, but then again, that's just me. Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, he ain't apologizing. Yeah. And if you listen to the show, the Wednesday show, you heard my thoughts on that. He can't do it again. He can say that he does it, that he's going to flash deuces and peace signs and all that. He can't do that in a game because he's going to get penalized, because now I'm sure the refs were told they missed that. Somewhere along the way, either Louisville's coaches or the ACC head of officials was like, hey, next time you guys got to call that. That's a penalty. And so they're going to be able to look out for it anyway. And if he does it again, he's going to get flagged. And if he does it again, like I said yesterday, he needs to be benched, because that would just be the most disrespectful thing. One of the most disrespectful things a player could ever do to a coach publicly, who publicly came out and said, yeah, he learned his lesson.
Primetime 92. Wake up, Corey. Question. Is Michael L. the cousin Eddie of the War Chant family? I never hear him mentioned in any of y'all's discussion.
Well, we don't focus much on the recruiting. Aslan, you'll have him on once every couple weeks right now?
Yeah.
And then in February, or I guess in December, and then in January, he'll be on obviously every week, maybe a couple of times a week. But yeah, when we're talking in the midst of the football team itself, yeah, it's usually we don't delve that much into recruiting, into the Michael Langston stories. I guess we could, but we feel like you guys want to hear us talk about what we see on Saturdays, unless you have the ACC network, and then you don't see anything.
Team McGrady won.
Sorry, you don't have the ACC network.
T-Mac, wake up. Only thing impressive about the Louisville game was the fact that the team somehow did not completely mail it in after giving up 24 unanswered points to literally one of the worst ACC offenses I have ever seen.
Aslan, correct them. Were they unanswered points?
No, they were not, because
I feel like they got answered with 14.
Yeah. That's right.
So it was 24 straight points.
Yeah.
But they weren't unanswered, because by definition, Florida State did in fact answer those 24 points with 14 unanswered points of their own.
The defense morphed into that mode where somehow every play they gave up was at least 10 yards, and that lasted about a quarter and a half until Louisville's quarterback threw a really dumb interception. I'll give the team credit for fighting it off this time and finding a way to win, but you just can't ignore that 24-0 Louisville run. Is that 24-0 run part of the Levitt effect, or does he only get credit for positive things?
That's a good point.
Touche. Saw today that the defense is ranked 116th in the country, and that the line on the Clemson game is 31.5. That's really hard to get excited about, even with a win over another sorry ACC team in NC State this weekend. What has happened to this program? To be quite frank, it feels like USF or Houston. Golly, you folks post a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think any of that's new. I don't think you're not asking a question to two people that don't realize that. Everything we say is qualified. That, yeah, it's not a good ACC team. It wasn't a dominating win. It was really frustrating that they gave up 24 straight points again. The defense did look bad for a quarter and a half. But I feel like you answered your own question in the question by saying it was good that they at least didn't completely quit, because that's what they had done. At least they did find a way to rally up. At least after they did get the interception, and you could call it a gift, I guess. I feel like 3 weeks ago Cyrus Fagan bats that down or somehow headbutts it right to the Louisville receiver, but he catches it, and then they go down the field and score, and then they get a stop right after that, and then they go down the field and score again. Those are big things, man. I don't think we can overlook those for that particular game. Does it mean this team's about to rip off 8 straight wins? Nope. But it was good for this team, this mediocre ACC team, which is exactly what it is. We can call NC State that. I don't even know. Is that the word he used, mediocre?
No, another sorry. Call them sorry.
Yeah. Hey, man, look. Florida State is a sorry ACC program right now.
Don't say that, Corey. Take it back. Take it back. They're mediocre.
What's their record in the last three years in the ACC?
I don't know, but it's a Florida State show. Why are you always negative? Why can't you be nice?
Sure. So that's where Florida State is. They're trying to break free from the Louisvilles and the NC States of the world. They got pummeled by NC State last year. That's it. We didn't dream that. That happened. They're trying to break free of that. In moments like Saturday, we hope are steps to break free of the mediocrity, of the sorriness, and get to be a good program again. You got to crawl before you can walk, like I'd like to say, Aslan. You can't just be born and fly out of your mom's womb and just run up to the top of the Empire State Building. You got to learn to crawl first, buddy. Yeah. Am I right, Aslan? Right or wrong?
You're
right
or
wrong?
You right. You right. You right.
Right.
You right. I don't think this team has ever quit. Is that crazy for me to say? I don't think this team's ever quit.
The defense quit against Louisiana Monroe.
Okay.
Don't you think? Like, you saw that the overtime. I mean, that was the least defended touchdown in overtime history.
Well, what about Louisville 2002 rainstorm?
Well, yeah. Chris Rex kind of brought that out of him. I think that will always be the shortest overtime in college football history.
Right. 2
plays. Can't be any shorter than that. Literally, it's always going to be the tied for the shortest overtime. So yeah, I mean, I thought it's not that they. I mean, yeah, they looked just like they normally do. The defense started giving up big runs. They couldn't get off the field, and you're like, here we go again. Louisville's driving to put the game away, but they didn't. They got a break, but unlike the Virginia game where they got all those breaks to get down to the 3-yard line, they took advantage of it this time.
Hey, let's take a break, and we'll do a few more questions, but we'll have to wrap it all up on Friday. But we're coming right back. It's Wake Up War Champ presented by Zaxby's.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Knolls since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back to Wake Up War Champ presented by Zaxby's. Sabaxley 1212 gets us back started on the Renegade Express, brought to you by First Commerce Financial. Fellas, wake up. Why does the change in momentum swing the game so remarkably? I would like to hear your thoughts on this. What's going on? Why does the momentum keep shifting all the time, Corey? Defense dominates the last 2 drives, but where were they before that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they'll tell you the other kids are on scholarship too. They're 18 to 22-year-olds, so their attitudes can they're vary wildly. They can fluctuate, but I don't. It boggles the mind to continually get up to leads, big leads, and continually blow them. So their next step for this team is to get out to a big lead and keep it, extend it. And not just hold on for dear life or have to come back in the fourth quarter. So, come from behind. Why don't you be the team that gets down by 14 points and then comes back and wins? That'd be cool to see.
Did they ever lose the lead to Louisville?
Yeah, they were down 28-24. And Louisville was driving to they were down 24-21, and Louisville was driving to go up 10 when Cyrus intercepted it. Yeah, the touchdown, I think it was the touchdown over Asante put Louisville ahead.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I really don't. It's if we knew what it was, we would be getting paid $1.1 million to call plays. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Get down, Black. What up, guys? This is more of a statement, but got to call you out. Corey, you were mad Asante went for the pick.
No. I wasn't mad that he went for the pick. I was mad that he just didn't make the play. And look, I think he might have even tipped it.
Yeah.
But Asante's, I'll let him finish the question. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well,
or the statement.
Corey, you're mad Asante went for the pick or knockdown on the long bomb in Louisville game, and Aslan, LOL, was upset about defensive backs still not looking back for the ball. Did I say that? I don't like that. I've been saying that in the preseason and in leading up to the season, but I don't remember referencing that. But anyhow, so what's it going to be, guys? Asante looked back, try to make a play on the ball, or don't look back, still get toasted probably, and still score. Can't complain about both, LOL. But the result was a bad touchdown. But at least he looked back, something they never did last year. Strides, baby. We making strides.
Yeah, well, I think I was misunderstood. I would never criticize him for looking back. He looked back and played it perfectly.
Yeah.
Literally, he was right there. He was in great coverage. He looked up when he was supposed to. It looked like he even leaped at the right time. Leapt. He just missed it. Like that's what I was upset about. Just make the play right there. You did everything perfectly, and it was more not even Asante. Asante's a good player. It's like, man, at that moment, you're thinking, will a Florida State player ever just do that? Like, just not have that happen? Like, is that just Florida State's lot in life for a little while here? Is that even a really good player like Asante Samuel plays the ball perfectly on a really nice throw and is there to bat it away or maybe even intercept it, and instead he just completely misses the ball? Or he tips it just barely enough that the kid can still make the catch. It just was more bad luck than anything. But no, I think that's how you teach it. That's how you should gather around young DBs that keep just turning your backs to the quarterbacks and never turn it around. And watch this. This is how you're supposed to do it right up until the point where he misses the ball. Because it was a good play, right?
Yeah, I really want to try to pull the video up because I remember everybody gasped in the press box. And so I felt like he did get his hand on it. I'm looking at it right now, which doesn't help any of you folks, but I'm looking at it. Yeah, something happened there, man. Yeah, I think.
Did he just miss it?
No, because it tipped off something, and it wasn't Fitzgerald's hand. It had to have been Asante. I'm trying to see if the.
So it must have been like a pinky finger.
Yeah.
Instead of like the palm.
Right.
And again, when I played DB in college at a high level, as everyone that listens to this show know, number one, you get even with the receiver. You see you look at his eyes, and that's when you turn around.
It's crazy. It literally he puts his arm out, Fitzgerald, to like, and his head got knocked down. Like Asante whacked him in the head, but he blindly put his hand out, and it hit off his hand so that he could actually corral it in. Yeah.
Yeah. I just need my DB to knock that down. And hopefully that's a learning lesson because I do think he's a good player. I liked how he covered it. It was perfect. He was right there. And Akeem Dent, like he got beat on the outside leverage there. He can't give up the outside leverage, that much of outside leverage. But he closed really well. The kid just made an all-time great throw. I don't know if that kid could do that again in 100 attempts, make a throw that perfect. So you have that throw, and you're like, well, that kid's not even a good quarterback, and he made the throw of his life. And then you have that throw against Asante, and you're like, man, come on, somebody make a play in the secondary.
Right.
You've got to bat that down, man. You've just got to. But I thought he played it well right up until then.
Yeah,
so I'm not down on him. I'm not down on him for turning around. Turn around, young men.
Yes.
Turn around and go make plays.
Turn around. Every now and then I'm getting beat by a guy from Louisville. 50 yards downfield. Turn around. Seminole Life. Wake up. I'm from Lake Wales, Winter Haven, home of 92 World Series MVP Pat Borders, NBA All-Star Amari Stoudemire, FSU tight end Melvin Pearsall, boxing champ Andre Berto, Florida State running back Jeff Chaney. Question.
He didn't have to bring up Pat Borders.
I know. I'm sorry, Corey. Yeah. Question. Will Coach Taggart ever feel the repercussions of not actually applying discipline to his players? From the outside looking in, this seems like a recipe for disaster down the road. Thanks, fellas. Love the show on my morning drive. No, because I think the repercussion would be what? like Terry or somebody else flashing, getting hit with a celebration. They're not doing a lot of the same dumb stuff over, which is good. Like that, I remember I said that in a job interview one time to somebody. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to make mistakes, but I won't make the same mistake twice. And I thought that was like really poignant. And the guy like laughed at me. He's like, oh, so you're going to make mistakes? And I'm like, yeah, dick. Like, geez. When will he feel the repercussions of not? That's I don't think he means like. At least I didn't interpret that as in job security. I interpret it as when will it really bite them badly in a game, because it really hasn't. I mean, has it? I mean, Marvin punches somebody or whatever, and it gets applied to the kickoff. I'm sure I forgot something, but have there been any really crucial game-sustaining drives that came courtesy of one of these bad penalties? I must be forgetting one of these, and it's staring me in the face, and I can feel the stink eye.
I would say no. I would say not this year that I can easily recall. I mean, I'm thinking of the 2 losses. I don't think they had a bunch of penalties against Boise, and then Virginia, it was all in that one stretch where they were going to score touchdowns no matter what. It seemed like.
Yeah, Coop. Well, Coop had
maybe Cooper, but Robert
slam.
Cooper's is the only one in my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, he's really good, and you probably don't want to sit him. I would say it was more like, there's more to discipline penalties than just personal fouls.
Yeah.
It's guys not lining up correctly.
Okay.
And last year, that was one of my big issues last year. Is somebody like, well, I'm not even name names, but there were some guys that played last year that continually made, I don't know if they're selfish penalties, they're just not thinking penalties. They're not lined up correctly. And you're in the last game of the season, and your all-star, awesome running back has like a 75-yard touchdown on a screen pass or a 60-yard touchdown on a screen pass, but your wide receiver wasn't lined up. And it was stuff like that, to me, is the lack of discipline, where they're not disciplined enough to line up correctly, to make sure they're lined up correctly before they run a play. And I don't think that's been a problem much this year. I do think it's getting better. I do. Now, Tamarian notwithstanding. But other than him, maybe he's a whole separate case. But other than him, I think that for the most part, the discipline's pretty good. They haven't had a ton of false starts. Right. Yeah, they haven't had a ton of illegal man downfields or too many men in the backfield or whatever their calls were last year. Illegal procedures mainly. They haven't done much of that. So that to me seems like these guys are kind of maturing and growing up and being more disciplined in how they line up.
Let's do 2 more. I wanted to go out on this one, but the one following this is also a good one. You can just answer
But
these.
what happens, seriously, Aslan, we're going to answer this. What happens if my man flashes the deuces again and gets a penalty that takes a touchdown off the board? What will be not towards Tamarian, what do you think would be the backlash towards Willie?
I think so many people are already in their corners on this, man. They either think that he doesn't discipline the guys, or you're being too brutal on him. You're being too critical. Lay off of him. He's got to trust what he's doing. I don't think no one's going to defect from one side to the other on this. If it does happen, I don't think it's going to be this is an indictment on what he's been doing. I don't think so.
No, all right.
I don't think so. You can answer all these ones. This guy's been rude to me in the past. So,
okay.
Guy Knoll, wake up. Can you guys grade the 3 segments based on improvement this year versus last year? Here are my estimates. What say you? Offense, A-. Special teams, C. Now, we never return a kickoff and can't make a field goal, but we don't block in the back. I'm guessing our average starting field position after a score is our 25-yard line. Defense, D. Seems our defensive backs still never turn their head to make a play on the ball. I don't get this. Lots of big hits that miss and not wrapping up D-line playing well. So, grade this, Corey, on improvement from this season as opposed to where they were at last year. Offense, grading scale, A.
Yeah, I guess I would go A.
I agree.
We went over it yesterday. They're averaging 15 more points, 2 more touchdowns a game, and 9 more first downs a game, and 100 yards more a game. That to me is an A. Special teams, I'd give a B+. Maybe a B, only because of Aguayo's missed kicks. Other than that, last year we got to remember how awful they were. Like, just seriously abysmal, train wreckish. So they're at least competent now. They're not giving up big returns because they don't have a kid kicking it line drives right down the middle of the field. They're not starting off every drive inside their own 10 because of a block in the back. That alone, I would say they're gaining, 25, 35 yards of field position per game just with those two things. They haven't had an illegal, I'm about to jinx it, understood. They haven't had an illegal block all year on a return. And they've had some, not many. They do fair catch more than most. But at least they know their limitations enough to know to do that, I guess. So, yeah, man, I would say a B to a B plus on special teams. I know we're all sour because of those awful field goals on Saturday. And then defense, I'm going to say a C plus. I think D is probably the right answer on the whole totality of the season because of those first two games. But because of what they did the last 2 weeks and the fact that they do look like they're getting better, I'm going to say a C plus. Okay. Right? I think they're about where they were last year. I think they have they're showing a little more potential than they did last year, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And line up guy, no, I'm just joking. I don't care what you think about me. Nolway85. This is the last question of the day. Well, we got a couple more left, but we'll get back to them on the Friday program along with our over-unders. So do tune in, come back for that one. Nolway85. Wake up! Corey Aslan, why is everyone so down on James Blackman? Yes, he makes some bad throws, and yes, he appears to hold the ball too long in some situations, but he also has had some pretty good stats in the first 4 games, and it's not his fault when receivers drop balls he throws to them. I think the big difference between him and Hornswoggle, that's for you, Corey, is
Thanks,
even
buddy.
Sometimes forcing throws that Hornibrook would never try to throw or even could throw without getting it intercepted. Are you as concerned as I am that Hornibrook does not deliver the ball with zip and that his passes may be more susceptible to getting intercepted? What say you? Everybody's been saying, excuse me, what say you today? So what say you, Corey? I don't know. Everyone's down on James Blackman. Can I jump you? I'm sorry. I'm mad right now. I'm mad for 10 seconds. I'll be fine. Everyone's down on James Blackman because everybody thinks that Florida State's our birthright is to have Jameis Winston every single year. And he's not. He's not Charlie. He's not Chris. He's not Chris Winkie. He's not Casey Weldon.
You better specify that, Chris.
Yeah, he's not Casey Weldon. He's not that guy. He's not 40 touchdowns, 8 picks, 4,000 yards, Captain Clutch. He's not that. And it's when things aren't going right, the quarterback's going to get it. And when things go wrong, he gets it. It's the nature of the beast. And, yeah, he makes some stuff that just makes you scratch your head. But, we're so far removed from Jameis in 2013 where every throw he made was the right throw that's what boggles my mind. 2014, Jameis made a lot of bad throws. Ever Golson, lots of bad throws. McGuire, yeah. Cosentino, yeah. Everybody's thrown some really bad throws. And it's just this whole thing of we need the quarterback. We need the quarterback with the W. We need that guy. We need the next Heisman Trophy winner. James Blackman doesn't win a Heisman Trophy. That's, synonymous with national championships here. Since he's not that guy, he's not going to win a national championship, we have no use for him. That's what people seem to think. I'm done.
I mean, I feel like those are obviously pretty big overstatements. I wouldn't say the majority of the fan base thinks that he's not going to win a Heisman because he sucks. I think they have genuine gripes with how long he holds on to the ball. And I think more than anything, how he kind of has a tendency to spiral when things don't go well. That has been a common theme throughout the first 4 games where he just could not stop the bleeding. But overall, you look at the numbers and the way he's played, he's had a nice season. I don't have anything against James Blackman. I think Hornibrook and his 20 passes looked a little better than Blackman had at any 20-pass stretch this season. I think he looked a little more comfortable running the offense and getting the ball out quickly. But absolutely, there are going to be throws this year that he just, if he's the quarterback, this game Saturday, that he just cannot make. He can't. If he's on one hash and Tamorian Terry is on the other sideline, away, opposite the hash, like the farthest away from the hash, he can't throw a deep ball to him. He can't. He can't get it there. So it changes your offense a little bit. But he can hit Helton over the middle for a 7-yard gain really quickly, and maybe Helton can bust something. I mean, there's a give and take with both these guys. I think Hornibrook does maybe see it a little better and get rid of the ball a little quicker. But yeah, 3rd and 13, he's going to have he's got to make throws like he did on the throw to DJ, which I think James Blackman can make that throw. But Hornibrook, he knows his limitations and lobs it just over, I guess that's a linebacker, and lets Matthews go up and get it. I think people are just there. It was those offensive droughts, the ruts, that when you're the quarterback, you're going to feel the brunt of that. James Blackman's not a great college quarterback. Nobody thinks he is. He's good enough to win games in this offense, right? He's nothing more than he could be a pretty good college quarterback, which, you're right. Florida State it's not their birthright that you only get Heisman winners. I just think when you start off the season 1-2 and you look the way James did in the fourth quarter against Virginia, and couple that with, here we go again. We look great, and now he's going to start falling apart, and it's going to start spiraling. Let's get somebody else in there. I think that's kind of where it comes from. But I certainly don't blame the 1-2 start on James Blackman. Goodness gracious, the defense in those first two games were just abysmal. Pretty good quarterback, right? Really good arm, great teammate. Isn't that how you'd sum up James Blackman? Decent quarterback?
Yeah. Sure.
Right.
The poll, who do you start next week if both quarterbacks are healthy? There are 873 votes. 93% say Alex Hornibrook. All right, so that's what
it's the unknown versus the known, number one.
They're
and you can't dismiss what Hornibrook did in his time in that game.
I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm talking to the questioner. Buddy, me and you were on the same page.
All right.
Me and you are simpatico.
All right.
We ride and we die together.
All right.
I don't ever need to hear that high pitch "I'm not" in my headphones ever again. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
I feel
Anybody out there? You heard? So yeah, but I think it's how Hornibrook looked. He looked calm and he looked like he got rid of the ball quick. But we'll see, man. Fans turn. We'll know a lot more after 60 minutes on Saturday who the fans really want at quarterback. Don't you think?
No, I think he's going to torch NC State. I
think
NC
State, that would be great.
Yes, yeah. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying this is all building. I don't think James Blackman's going to start another game.
Oh, all right.
Injury,
okay, I see you.
Unless Alex Hornibrook gets hurt. I think Alex is going to play good against NC State. I think they're going to have a bye week. They're going to tell, hey, James, just get right, man. I know you want to come back. We love you. Just take another week off. We'll go to Clemson. And then I think, if he goes out there and actually plays fairly well, hangs 24, 28 points on Clemson, I don't think they turn. I don't think they look back, man. I really don't.
It'll be interesting with a team like Clemson, though, because that's where you could use somebody with a big arm, number one, and somebody that has a little bit more escapability. There is a chance that Hornibrook would just be a sitting duck back there. So I do, he looked good against Louisville, but Louisville ain't Clemson. Nobody looks good against Clemson, let's be honest. So, but they're not going to beat Clemson anyway. So who cares? Start Jordan Travis. Like I said, or just forfeit. It's all good. Save both your quarterbacks. You want them both brimming with confidence when you go up to Winston-Salem the next week for that epic showdown at Snuggy Hill.
Is that who they have after Clemson?
Yeah, it's at Wake.
Ooh.
It's a juggernaut, man. I'm telling you, this NC State game's a pretty big one.
I can't believe I just had because Wake Forest.
Hey, if people want to know where we are, that last 7 seconds tells you everything.
Oh, man. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. Over-unders and the remainder of the Renegade Express questions. Thanks to our friends at First Commerce Financial for powering us through the day. He's Corey Mazza. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a great one.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.